Hi and welcome to my presentation. In my presentation I will discuss globalization in the United Arab Emirates as a phenomenon, and I will look into different aspects of globalization in the UAE. And my thesis question is globalization in the United Arab Emirates good or bad? Before I dive any deeper into my analysis, I want to first establish a definition of globalization. There are many different definitions of globalization, but I will stick to these two. One is from the Cambridge Dictionary's homepage, and it states the increase of trade around the world, especially by large companies producing and trading goods in many different countries. And the other one is from the United Nations, and it defines globalization roughly as the global integration of economies and societies. Today I have four main topics, and that is the environmental impact, the economic impact, the social impact, and the soft power of the United Arab Emirates, and that is including the mega projects of Dubai. In the 70s, Dubai kickstarted its economy when they first discovered oil. The export of oil and other petroleum products such as liquefied natural gas have boosted the UAE's economy to where it is today. And the economy is now the second largest in the Arabic Peninsula, much thanks to petroleum products. In the recent decades, Dubai and the other cities in the UAE, such as Abu Dhabi, have had massive construction projects which have been not environmental friendly due to their building materials, for instance. They consist mainly of concrete and steel and glass, and not natural materials such as stones and wood. The UAE's exploitation of petroleum products are definitely not environmental friendly. But they have created a lot of money from export. So globalization have had another huge impact for the United Arab Emirates in the economic way. Cities have developed at a rapid pace in the last decades. The picture on the top is from the 90s, and the picture at the bottom is from 2015, and it illustrates the economic uprising these cities have undergone. And there are a lot of job opportunities in the UAE right now in sectors such as tourism and the finance industry. And in the construction phases, they need a lot of often foreign labor, cheap labor to build to simply build these mega projects and skyscrapers. And the UAE have also created about 45 free zones, and according to a report in Gulf News, free zones contributed to 33% of the UAE's non-oil trade in 2014. And in the same year, 2014, the oil industry accounted for only around 30% of the gross domestic product. This number is down from 80% almost in 1980. In the future, the UAE will have to further diversify their economy in order to have a more securely and stable economy that are not influenced by the oil price, for instance. And the UAE does so in organs such as the World Trade Organization and the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, and also in what is the Arabian EU, a kind of cross-border economic community in which the UAE is a part of. And the UAE have also created free zones, economic free zones. And these free zones offer several economic incentives, such as exemption from corporate taxes and other taxes, and also finances can be brought home to your own country without any interference from the government in the UAE, for instance. Another side of globalization that is easy to forget. Most people just think of globalization as a economic phenomenon, but globalization is indeed also a social phenomenon, as the definition from the UN stated. It is a global integration of economies and societies. And the UAE is indeed a melting pot of different cultures, of the Arab world, of Europeans, of Asians, of Africans, which all have different reasons to come to the UAE, although they are there mostly for work. The UAE, you can argue, have lifted a lot of people out of poverty when they had a economic uprising, but in order to have such a rapid economic uprising, they needed a lot of cheap labor, and they imported foreign workers from lower income countries such as Pakistan and India and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, to have them to work in construction projects, building airports, skyscrapers, roads, infrastructure. Also, the people, the average Joe in the UAE are not much better off in terms of freedom and liberties compared to what they were some decades ago, for instance. And that is perhaps due to the Sheikh's supreme power over its emirate. And these Sheikhs are almost de facto dictators, you can argue, because they have such supreme power over what is done and not done in their emirate. The future of the UAE. The UAE will host the World Expo in 2020, and it will create a lot of new jobs. They argue it will create 270,000 new jobs, I read on a webpage. So a lot of new jobs will be created, and it will boost Dubai's economy further. My fourth and last topic of the day is the United Arab Emirates soft power. The Emirates don't have a lot of military power and a lot of military influence, so what they do instead is that they often have larger international events. For instance, the Dubai World Expo coming up in 2020, or they build a grand new mosque in white, as you can see on the picture, or they buy football clubs in England. Sheikh Khalid, a member of the family currently ruling the Abu Dhabi Emirate, will buy Newcastle United. And Manchester City, another football club, is also under heavy influence from the United Arab Emirates, and they use these clubs in order to promote their way of living and their view on specific topics, such as gay rights, for instance. And another way they assert influence is by having mega projects. One of the mega projects are the currently world's largest building, the Burj Khalifa, and they are planning to build a hyperloop. Also, they have two airlines in the United Arab Emirates that are quite huge, I would say. The first is Etihad Airways, based in Abu Dhabi, and the second is Emirates, based in Dubai. By having a massive fleet of aircraft, they make a lot of passengers connect through Abu Dhabi and Dubai on their way to their final destination, and the tourists and the passengers having a connecting service will spend money in the United Arab Emirates. So, what is the conclusion? So, my conclusion is that globalization in the UAE is mostly good, both for the sheikhs, which earns a lot of money from the economic impacts, but also for the people, which have more money after all to spend, and which can benefit from cheaper goods from all around the world. Although it has some negative consequences, the UAE has mostly overcome this, and I am sure that they will overcome this also in the future. At the very end, I have a list of sources